2 bullets came and hit his leg, and then 5 bullets hit his chest and stomach, and Jaquel fell down. And as he fell down, at this moment, he didn't shout. And the thoughts which came into his mind, fortunately, as he was a young boy, he remembered when he was being taught by his aunt, who was a Seventh-day Adventist, how to pray and how to read the Bible. And he realized that at this moment, there was nothing else he would do to surely save himself. And the thought which came into him was to ask God to forgive him. And at that moment, as he prayed and said, God, forgive me, realizing that indeed it seemed as if his life was coming to an end. And then a car passed by, and when this car passed, it didn't stop. And the grandmother came out of the house and bent down and found Jaquel as he was lying down with blood all around him. And then a second car came by, and this second car which came by, it stopped. And when it stopped, two people got out and placed Jaquel inside to give a hope to take him and rush him to the hospital. And Jaquel the next day woke up about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was hooked up on a machine, and he could not even, he wasn't breathing properly because of some of the injuries he had got. So they had put upon him about 23 stitches to try to close those bullet wounds. And in the middle of his stomach, he learned that he had nearly died because of these bullets that he had received, because he had bled a lot. And Adventists from his auntie's church came and visited him, praying together with him and praying for his survival, that the Lord may rescue his life. So from that day, Jaquel, out of what the Lord had done to his life, he decided to give his life unto Jesus. And indeed, it was through that scenario that the Lord surely was seeking to rescue him. And Jaquel gave his life unto Christ. And from that moment, he began to study the Bible. And 3 years later, Jaquel now he's decided to join a school where he was learning to become a barber. And he shares his story with other young people, encouraging them to find meaning in life through God and not gangs. He urges them to fill their minds with good things and to stay close to God. There are so many wonderful object lessons we can pick from this story. One, first of all, is that none of us can really go so far away beyond the reach that God can be able to rescue and deliver us. The Bible tells us, Jesus says that my grace is sufficient unto you. In moments when we feel that we are totally, utterly lost, He is able to save each of us to the uttermost. Regardless how far you may seem you have wandered away from Him, God seeks to save each of us. And it's for that purpose. His desire is for each of us to be saved and for each of us to have Christ in our lives. And just as He saved Jaquel, He can save each of us. What are you struggling with in your life? What could be that which seems you have struggled it with on day by day and seems as if it is impossible for you to overcome? It may seem impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And this story gives us hope that God can save us, regardless of how far away we might have gone away from Him. And then the other thing is, this story brings an appreciation to us, is that as Romans chapter 8, verse 28 says, that for all things happen for the good of those who love and fear the Lord. Indeed, sometimes God will allow certain circumstances which may come our way. We may not fully comprehend. We may ask ourselves questions, why? Why? We may not have an answer to ask and say, why has the Lord permitted this? But in all circumstances, there's always a purpose that God has to allow certain things come our way. I believe it was through this scenario, this experience, that God was seeking to reach Jaquel. And we praise God that in this moment, that God was able to reveal Himself through this encounter where his life seemed to be almost to be taken away. So likewise, Whatever challenge that may come your way, whatever difficulty that may seem to come our way, our question should be, Lord, what would you have me to learn of this? What is your purpose for allowing this to come our way? And the Lord surely is ever and longing to reach out to draw us and to break off those chains and deliver them